Andrei. Welcome to Australia.
It's really good to be here. Very excited to have this opportunity to visit the headquarters and also to speak about all things logistics and technology and how we can make the industry better together.
Fantastic. You came to the right place. And this is our home here in Melbourne. So this is at the Essendon Airfields, just on the outskirts of the Melbourne Business District. And we have about 400 people in this building, and it's a proud family home for our operations. So great to have you here.
Great to be here. So how do you guys see technology helping shape the future of the industry, the future of the logistics space?
Well, technology has been a factor in the 70 years of Linfox, actually. So as of April of this year, we will celebrate 70 years since Linfox started with one truck. And technology from that first truck has evolved into the most amazing vehicles that our people get to operate till today. And it's the same for all of our activities, whether it's our systems, our back office, whether it's our operational activities, whether it's our equipment. Technology has played a role in all of the aspects of our supply chain solutions business. And we are constantly investing in systems that give us better safety, better security, better efficiency and better sustainability. And that's our purpose. And systems bring that to life for us. It's accelerated recently because of AI and investment in technology that is interspersed with other technologies. So from that perspective, it's accelerating. But we don't want to do it for technology's sake. We want to do it because it solves safety, security, efficiency or sustainability challenges that we have, which is why, to be honest, why we're doing some work with you right at the moment.
I mean, that's really good to hear, and that's exciting because we share this belief. It's not about the technology, but it's about the way we can solve the problems, the way we can make progress, and we can actually bring value through the product, through the technology as a means to an end, really.
Absolutely, and the sort of business that we run, we have here in Australia and New Zealand, we have 1.5 million square metres of warehouse space. We have over 2,000 motorised vehicles out on the road. But at the end, it's the people that work in this business, of which there's around 9,000, who operate in Australia and New Zealand, that bring the business to life. All of that equipment, all of that technology is brought together because of proud people. And what we want to do is make sure that they can be as efficient and have a rewarding career in the industry. And technology can take some of those mundane and sometimes, to be honest, not very fulfilling type roles out of the process so that our people can go and do things and other things that are more interesting, more exciting, and upskill themselves with our help into other roles as well. So this technology is actually going to help with that, and that's what we're hoping for too.
So what do you see as being some of the big trends, the macro trends shaping the logistics industry and the warehousing industry from your perspective?
There's a couple of major impacts for Australia and New Zealand that I've seen. Firstly, it's the decarbonisation of the industry, and it's a hard to abate industry, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't be putting the effort in and we shouldn't be trying to find ways. So that's a big impact. The cost inputs are increasing enormously across both transport and warehousing for Australia and New Zealand, whether that's energy cost, labour costs, equipment costs, etc. Compliance and bureaucratic cost as well is starting to come into play. So that is another major impact. We're finding it harder as time goes on to attract younger people and women into the industry as well. So that creates somewhat of a challenge in terms of getting workforce into certain locations. And then the other big piece, and probably the large, goes in with the increasing cost, but the ability to access the proper industrial grade facilities is really tough. So the ability to get these facilities in the right location for the future is a challenge, which we have to work through. But it's the right thing to do. We need these facilities. So they're the big trends that I'm seeing. The final one, of course, would be the introduction of AI and technology in terms of making the right business decisions and helping our operational execution. So we're exploring that, and part of what we're doing with you is an entree into that area. But the reality of it is we're not going to do it just for the sake of it. We need to do it for the purpose that it's going to give us a proper output and a return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how we're looking at it as well. Is we're seeing some of these trends at the global level. We have a number of customers that operate from Europe, operate from America and other parts of the world. And this is a challenge. This is a global challenge. These are challenges for everyone, pretty much everywhere they are. And I agree with you. I think, once you have these facilities, once you have the warehouses, you want to make sure that you maximize the use, but you also want to make sure you drive this 100% efficiency. You want to make sure that if you have 100 warehouses, they're all operating with the maximum possible efficiency. And I think where technologies like AI and a lot of this data-driven visibility come into play are to enhance the workforce to have a much more meaningful output of the day-to-day jobs, yes, but also to keep them safer, to protect people from the difficult, dull, and sometimes dangerous parts, yes, of the jobs.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And, I think on the customer side as well, the value of their product is increasing enormously too. There's very strict rules around the provenance of the product in terms of date codes, temperature, the actual presentation of the product. So much shelf-ready product now going from a pallet directly onto the retail shelf. So the preservation of that product in the warehouse is really critical. So all of the inputs in terms of looking after that product comes from people and the care and the attention that they pay to it. So it's all intertwined. And so I think with some of the things we're doing together, I think we can accelerate that in a number of sites, which I'm really looking forward to.
I think that's a really good segue into this angle of visibility, because logistics, I think we can both agree, is, if not the oldest, definitely one of the oldest industries in the world, but definitely the most important one, because without the ability to move goods around, without the ability to actually get the right things to the right people, to the right businesses, you don't really have a functional society. So being able to leverage this piece around data-driven and visibility helps enormously, not just for the retailers, but exactly like you're saying, the cost of goods keep going up. Everything becomes more expensive from a geopolitical point of view, but also from a territorial point of view. You have customs, you have trade. It's not getting any cheaper. So making sure that we have the products in the best state, making sure that we can actually preserve them in the best possible conditions is really important. I think all the climate change and the continuously changing weather conditions, it's all there to wreak havoc on the normal operations. Yep. It makes it a lot harder to predict. So I think having this data-driven, having the sensors and helping giving customers the ability to see how their products are being preserved is a big win. But how do you see the wider visibility aspect and this data availability to make informed decisions for the business?
Look, I think, and when we talk about the cost of product, the cost of goods, and the massive inventory holdings that are required for a market like Australia and New Zealand, it's this question between just in case and just in time. And I think that got tested during COVID, where just in case became the rule. We're moving back towards just in time, even though we're looking at long supply chains that go global, because there has been some stabilisation of pricing on shipping and some other improvements in reliability. But the reality of it is that stock needs to be available when it's required. And so the warehouse and transport coordination from that perspective is really, really important. We've already had a derailment because of lines buckling. So that product, those number of containers, Linfox is the largest containerised rail freight provider in the country. That product that's on that train is not getting to its destination today. So what are we doing about that? And that's where just in case and just in time needs to be balanced. And although AI, I think, can create enormous opportunity in terms of predictive capability, it didn't predict that train going over. So there are, in my mind, really smart people in our business who have actual intelligence who get to that problem and deal with it, and the workarounds happen. But what it means is the centralised DC for a global player in a market like Australia does get challenged on the basis that it's a big country and you've got to get product everywhere. So the use of technology and data and information to inform where those locations are best put is what we do at Linfox, and that's part of our supply chain solutions approach. And because we've got 1.5 million square metres of warehouse space, we share the product in some locations around, so that the customer always has some product, at least their major SKUs in the major destinations. If there was an issue, then we're able to sort of work around. But information and having the digital information really helps us with that process.
Yeah, I really like what you mentioned about AI, because it's really a tool to enhance the capabilities you have within the team. I think there's a lot of misconception there, and people think, oh, AI will do everything, but at the end of the day, it's, like I said, it's a tool to supplement and enhance. It's like a power tool. You don't want to use a screwdriver if you can use a power tool, right?
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing with it, it will drive an incredible amount of speed, and it will help the teams to be a lot more responsive and reactive, and help the wider industry to become a lot more agile to conditions. Like you said, it's hard to predict. You can't. It's an accident, so you're not going to plan for an accident. You're not going to be able to plan for an accident. And on the flip side of that, you want to remain nimble. You want to remain as lean as you can with the entire operation. So balancing this two is always the big challenge to driving a very successful business.
Yeah. But what we do know, on behalf of our customers, if you don't have it at the point of sale, then you risk losing that sale. And that's the fundamental of what we do, is deliver service for customers, whether they're Australian manufacturers, whether they're Australian retailers or in New Zealand. At the end, there's competition, and we're proud to work with a lot of major organisations, international groups and Australian groups across Australia and New Zealand, but they are all in competition for the same dollar. So we know it's a race, and what we want to do is make sure we compete well but safely in terms of being able to deliver product to stores and make sure things are done properly. But again, during COVID, that got heightened. Everyone understood it. Everyone appreciated it. I think now that's settled somewhat, and we're left to doing the things that we like to do, which we do. But technology, as you were saying earlier, helps our people deal with those things they have to do first thing in the morning, whether it's the optimisation of a route, where instead of spending 3 hours optimising the route, our system's able to do it in 40 minutes or 20 minutes, and then we polish the edges, and that those routes are optimised, but they're done in a third of the time that they were done previously. So we love technology when it comes like that, but we are always very, very crucial around making sure that it's cyber safe, and that there's no corruption or any issues around being hacked, because our reliance on systems and our reliance on data means that there's an exposure as well. So the investment in that area for us has also been significant, and I think will continue.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, you use this information, you leverage the power of the data to make decisions. So you want to make sure, as it becomes an asset, you want to make sure the asset is protected. So,
absolutely.
Where do you see some of the future developments of the wider industry, but also of the unique advantages that you as a business can derive from this availability of real-time data, the availability and the visibility across all the operations that you have as a major logistics player?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of customers who are doing their best to forecast what their requirements are. Some of them do it very well. Others are struggling with the concept because it's such a dynamic environment. So what we need to do is, as I was saying earlier, wage costs, labour costs are some of our biggest items. The prediction of the labour that we need on a particular day or a particular shift is really important. So a lot of investment going into understanding how that works for us, because we don't want to be short either and then miss loads or not allow the full customer solution to be delivered on the day. So technology helps us with that component. We're increasingly using, around sustainability, we're increasingly finding ways to buy power at the right prices, and technology helps us do that. When it comes to our equipment, the operation of either our forklifts or of our prime movers and our trucks around the market, they are increasingly technologically advanced. From a safety aids perspective, from an efficiency point of view in terms of understanding the fuel consumption, how we're able to make sure that those loads are optimised. We use technology for load building and other things. So when you see a truck driving out of a warehouse down the road, it's really technology that's brought that to life. Otherwise, we would be driving an old vehicle that would look very different to what we're operating today. And the design of our trailers, the understanding of the customer's product is something that we're very good at, and that's why technology can capture all of that and allow our people to deploy it in a really efficient way. So so the investment in technology for us is critical. We call it working smarter. It's one of our key strategic drivers in the business, and our investment in that area goes across quite a number, our ERP, all of our optimisation tools, and as well, increasingly now, some of our warehouse operations, which you're helping us with.
I mean, that's very exciting to hear, because I agree. I think having this satisfaction and accomplishment of the work that you do on a daily basis really goes a long way, and it helps us deliver better value for customers. Yeah. We strive for the same thing as a business, and I'm sure that you're also striving for the same approach and the ability to delight customers on every delivery, on pretty much every interaction point.
Yeah, and not always is that acknowledged or recognised. The expectations nowadays around what we call delivered in full on time is very high, and the better you become, the more that is expected of you. And I think technology helps you break through that barrier. You can only push industrial businesses so far to a point on their own. Technology unlocks new force multiplication, if you want to call it that. And I think in the example of the Dexory device, and we've had customers at the site to see it in action, what we're able to do is, instead of have our people get on a forklift to go and try and find a pallet in aisle X, this unit we're able to find that on the screen, and we're able to immediately almost say to the customer, if they're inquiring, we know where the pallet is, we've got it, and if it needs to be isolated or you need a special delivery, we can do that for you immediately. That delights customers, because we can do it almost in the interaction, rather than say, we'll get back to you in a week, or we'll get back to you in a day, or whatever the case may be. So I think that instantness is increasingly being expected by major players, and we understand that, and we want to bring that, but we want to do it in a way that's sustainable and that can be repeatable over time. So it's exciting to see what opportunities are going to come from the activity. Already good signs. So we're looking forward to advancing that as time goes on, because I'm sure you're going to come up with a lot of really nice and exciting technological advances in that unit as well, which we're really interested to hear about too.
We always try, of course. But I like what you mentioned there. I think that's one of the big drivers for us as a society. The better you become, the higher that bar goes. And that's one of the underlying reasons why this product works, and why the market really wants the technology that we have through Dexory View and through the systems that power it, because you can actually give everyone that visibility, and it brings that level of speed and agility into any operation. You can deploy this in a warehouse that's 30, 40 years old, or in a cutting edge brand new build, and it gives you the ability to not just delight customers, but also give them that peace of mind that you have complete control and visibility over the operation, right?
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest, I like the safety aspect as much as anything else. We hire a lot of scissor lifts for the purposes of doing cycle counting and stock taking, and that's an activity that takes time, can be a little laborious as well. Whereas with the Dexory unit, we're able to do that almost instantly, even on our biggest site, on that big site that we've got. So that's really helpful from that perspective. So it's a safer solution. It's less expensive because we're not hiring equipment to go and do various things. And we have to make the business case stack, of course. But the reality of it is the early signs are really positive. So we're looking forward to that coming to life.
Yeah, I like the sound of that, because I think the enhancement of the operation is very important, and the safety element is a critical, crucial part of it, because these warehouses are tall. Going up 14 meters in the air is not for the faint of heart. It's actually not pleasant.
No.
And then you have to start operating at that height, extract the information, be able to collect the data. And one of the reasons why we deploy these technologies is to be able to get that visibility pretty much from a screen anywhere you are in the warehouse, or pretty much anywhere you are in the world with access to that facility.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I think with some of the enhancements already we've spoken about in terms of being able to identify, pallet unitization, the quality of the wood that is holding the stock, that all adds to the improvement around safety performance. We see a time when we can determine gap between the beam and the top of the pallet to allow easy insertion and extraction of pallets. So there's a number of areas we want to explore as well in terms of what does it look like in 5 years' time. So, and again, all for the purposes of safety, security, efficiency and sustainability, which is the purpose for us at Linfox, and this plays in nicely to that task.
Yeah, exactly. That's where a digital twin of a warehouse really shines.
Yeah.
It gives you the millimeter accuracy to every square meter of that facility, which is not something that it was even possible, a few years ago. But it gives you the ability to know what pallet needs to go where, what's the gap available, how much space do you have, how well are you utilizing the facility. I think you mentioned, and we discussed a little bit about sustainability, and it's really important to make sure that you maximize the usage of the racks, that you can actually serve customers with more products from the same location, from the same operational setup that you have now. So again, very exciting for us in terms of the impact and the value that our product brings into the market.
Absolutely, and I think the next opportunity really is how your system interacts with other systems, either WMS systems or security systems and other things, how it becomes, from our perspective, a one-stop shop around optimisation, security of product, and provenance. Those things all added together in one place for us is a really powerful thing, because again, it simplifies the process for our people and our customers.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. That's what we like to believe we're building towards this warehouse operating system.
Yeah, right. No, that's good.
So when you look at some of the enablement and the value that the Dexory product and the Dexory technology has brought to you, what would you say are some of the big wins that you gained from it?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's making a difficult task easier for our people on the front line in the warehouse who have to look after the inventory. Now, at Linfox, we don't own any of the stock. It's all our customers entrust us with the security of that product. So our inventory managers have a really important job. What we've seen so far is the Dexory unit allows their job to be a lot easier because they're able to identify where product is really quickly. They're able to identify and find picking errors where there might be errors that have been reported, and they can go back through the system, and through the date stamping and through the digital twin of the whole process, they're actually able to find product from a week ago that was picked. So that's very helpful. The important point that the team have told me as well is that instead of having to go out on a forklift to pull a pallet down to have a look at that stock. They're able to see it on screen almost immediately that the last time that it was scanned through. So that is a much more efficient process. And I think the big one, and it's always important for us, it's the first thing we think about, is our safety of our people. So not having to get scissor lifts to do cycle counting and stock takes is a big change for us. And we're already seeing that's coming to life with the Dexory unit. And that's a game changer for that site. And so less congestion in the aisle with those scissor lifts in play, less activity at height, which we always try and avoid where we can, and we're getting really, really strong results from a cycle count and stock take perspective. So those things rolled up make it feel like it's part of the team, actually, interestingly enough. I mean, it's a big unit. It's quite tall, but it operates inside of the aisles well, and it is able to operate with our other equipment without any issue. So it has been, like I said, part of the team now at that site for a number of months, and we're looking forward to seeing more of it.
That sounds very exciting. And so if you were to share any knowledge from what we discussed with the wider industry, what advice would you give people looking to automate some of the tasks, or people looking to bring this level of visibility into their operations?
Look, I think do the research and make sure it works for the site, because we have a range of customers in there, so it's a multi-tenant site, and so it operates across all of those different customers, and we share the information with the customer, so they're able to see it almost instantaneously. So it's worth the investment from that perspective. The product is also expensive and is a high security item. So it is important that we invest behind it to ensure. But if your customer or the product doesn't warrant that level of investment, then you need to make that decision at your own company level. But for us and the customers that we represent, it makes good sense to protect that product, to provide ease of operation for our people, and to improve the safety outcome there is a really important part for us. So I don't know, each business will have to make its own decision, but for our particular case, it works. It's been working very, very well for us.
That sounds very good. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you, Mark. So I really enjoyed having this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.